May 21st, and we're about to start tractoring our rabbits. Many of you that followed along on our rabbit journey last year in 2022, we started using tractors around the lawn for the rabbits. It was something that we'd hummed and hawed on and tried in previous years with very little success, and kind of thought we'd put it on the back burner. We wouldn't bother doing it. Then last year we did, and it made a huge difference to the bottom line. It also allowed us to grow out a lot more bunnies than we had in previous years because it gave us that square footage space that we needed so badly. So this year we have great bunny production going on, and it's time to move our first litter out onto the grass. So one thing that we have been doing with our rabbits for the last, I guess 2 weeks now, with the garden season starting and weeding season starting, is we've been slowly integrating greens into their diet. This is something that I know we're going to hear comments about. Many people say, no greens, no greens. We feed our rabbits greens from the get-go because these babies eat what the mama eats, and when greens are available, we feed greens. You just want to start integrating them at a very, very slow pace, a handful here, a handful there, until basically we're at the point where I would say 70% of their diet now is greens. This is not the group of bunnies that we're going to be putting out today because this group is actually only 6.5 weeks old. We're going to be putting out Hefty's group, which is 7.5 weeks, but I feel she's done with them and it is time for them to move. We had a little trouble at the beginning of the year. We lost 2 litters because of bad weather and so on. Hefty actually started out with 8 and we lost 2 just because of the cold, and they ended up out of the nest. So she's got a litter of 6 here. As you can see on this one that's right beside her, they're already starting to turn their colors, and that's a sign basically that they're approaching the 8-week mark. Like I said, we're at about 7.5. I believe Thursday this week is when they're actually 8 weeks old. So we're, like I say, going a little bit early, but we're going to take this opportunity to sex these 6 rabbits as well at the same time so that I know what we have going into the tractor. Well, so far we have 3 girls, so 3 for 3. I'm curious to see how many girls we're actually going to get because usually we're not that lucky. Usually it's a lot of boys. So number 4 is probably going to end up being a boy just to spite me. Yep, we got our first little boy. The one thing we were both commenting, actually, Chris and I, is these guys haven't been handled at all, and they're so quiet. They are so well behaved. It's actually quite surprising because their mom's not really a friendly rabbit. So I guess that doesn't get passed down in the genes.
So this litter is all boxed up. Got our trusty cat helper who seems to love baby rabbits. But they're boxed up and ready to move over. So we're going to take them over to the tractor, and their mom's probably going to be a lot happier because she's getting to that point that she's not really too enthusiastic to have them.
So here's Mama. I think she's already looking relieved, but she's now started on a diet of mint here for the next few days, as well as other things, obviously. But mint is something you don't want to give the bunnies that have babies when you need lactation, because mint helps to basically dry the rabbit up to get them ready for the next breeding. So that's what she's getting for a treat.
Well, the rabbits are in the crate there. We're going to bring the tractor over, but I kind of wanted to show the difference. So on this side, we've only mowed this once. That just gives you an idea of how fast things are growing right now. And you can see the line, basically right here. That's where the electric netting was for the sheep. And on this side, you can see it's a lot shorter. So it has some growth to do. We're going to put these guys on the taller stuff because that'll give them a lot more biomass to chew on. There's the tractor. I'll link our video up above about sort of the design on this, the thought process, etc. But they've worked really well, and like we say, we're getting at that optimal time. There's a lot of food here, so we're going to get them in there. But before we do that, we were just going to talk a little bit about, I guess, what we feel is the actual benefit of these. So really, I guess we started doing this as an idea to try to eliminate or significantly reduce sort of your feed cost. And I'm going to say that we have another video that sort of talks about this. We'll link above, but they don't eliminate, but they do reduce significantly. And our opinion, after quite a few years of raising rabbits, and I think it doesn't really matter what kind of rabbit it is, and we have lots of other ideas and thoughts that we talk about quite often about this. are the two things that seem to be the most important for raising rabbits to a decent size relatively quickly are space and food. So the one thing that these tractors do for a litter like this is gives a lot of space. And of course, because you're moving it, you're getting the advantage that they're always on fresh ground. The downside to that is, at least where we live, it doesn't work all year by any means. And there are certain times of the year, such as the later fall when it starts to get cold and the grass starts to die, this doesn't work. So in some ways it is a bit of an extra expense because it's very seasonal, but because most of our rabbit breeding is somewhat seasonal, this works quite well for us. Now on the food side of it, we still have to give them pellets. We did some experimenting, and that's in the video that I was mentioning there a second ago, but they still need it to keep them growing well. But what this does is it still gives them more food. So we still find, at least for us, in the tractors, they do grow better because of the space and the extra food than if we were just to keep them in our normal cages. So that's just a little bit of a note of what we have found doing this. So we're not going to go into all the details here because we've kind of talked about this before, but as the bunnies get ready to go out, the one thing I will say is the feeder hopper, we make sure we put it under the cover, which I'll show you in a minute. And these guys probably are going to be kind of reluctant to come out. They usually are. They always get a little bit shell-shocked coming out to this kind of setup.
Got to move further than the front of the box. They're just like,
Usually the first day, 2 days, they're a little bit confused, but they figure it out really quick. They may not be super hungry either because you did give them some pellets already. But this one's already exploring and nibbling a bit, so. That's pretty much the excitement of it. We'll kind of see how they do and judge how frequently we need to move them. At this age, they're not likely to dig much, if at all, which is fantastic. That's something that we have definitely experienced. There is a point at which they start to dig quite a bit.
he does not want to
That
come
one
out.
doesn't want to come out. Once they start digging, they have to come out of these open bottom tractors. There we go.
Last one.
And
So
they're
that is
all
a
out.
lot more footage than what they had with their mom.
Yeah, if I step back here, that's, how long are those?
8 foot by almost 3 feet.
So it's quite a big area for a litter of rabbits. Anyways, we'll get them fed, watered, covered up, and I'm pretty sure they'll have a fantastic rest of the day. So, as I said, we are still going to feed them, so I'm going to give them this this milk jug scoop full, and we
About
tend to
3/4
find,
full.
yeah, we tend to find that they will still eat this, but there'll probably be a lot of this left because they have kind of a bottomless pit of food at the moment. But still going to give it to them, and we always make sure that's underneath the shade area so that it doesn't get wet and doesn't get ruined.
And we still operate the same way. That is a bottomless thing for them. So we always are checking it and always making sure there's food in there. But we still find, even with that option, they choose the grass, which means we save pennies.
The other thing that's very important about this is making sure they have shade. Right now we're not warm enough to worry about the real deep shade, but you do not want to leave them out in the sun because they will not be happy campers. But they should be very happy.
They've certainly figured it out quick.